Hey, founders. Are you the bottleneck in your business? Are you the one that's causing your business not to be successful? I think, well, we all need to take a little personal responsibility, right? But I think that it is true in my case that I'm the bottleneck and I need to make some changes so that my business can be successful. So, if you might have seen in previous episodes, I'm sort of building in public here, building myself in public. And when I figure out something that I'm not doing well, I try to make improvements and share them with you so that, if you're dealing with the same problems, you can do the same thing. So I've noticed a few things. And there's certain things that I'm just not good at, and other things that I shouldn't be wasting my time on, and other things that I should be spending a lot of focus on, and I'm not. And the result is my business isn't as healthy as I would like. I don't have the customers that I need to have. I don't have the revenue that I need to have to be sustainable. So today's episode is about getting out of our own way. And, for me, that looks like not just having a successful business, but having a successful life. So, I've noticed that, like a year and a half ago, right around the time that I started this business or just before, I I quit drinking. My energy went through the roof and I lost 30 pounds and I started this business and it was just like a dopamine kind of frenzy. It was great. Just so much creativity and everything was great. And now that we've settled into being a real business a little bit more, I just find myself working so much and so focused on this business that I'm sitting here all the time right at this desk, even if I'm not doing anything because I just resent the things that I have to work on. And so, um, this is typical ADHD avoidance, by the way. Like maybe you recognize it in yourself if you're among the 60% of founders, in my estimation, that has ADHD. Sometimes you just get stuck because the things that need to be worked on are not the things that you want to work on, so you just don't do anything at all. And so I suffer with some of that, and I still manage to be pretty effective, but I could be so much more effective if I would just get out of my own way. And the three areas that I need to get some improvement on are time. I need to have my time back, and it's not just work time, it's leisure time. I need to get some hobbies. I need to make time for working on my house projects and not feel guilty about it. And then my health, I need to be exercising, I need to be walking, I need to be getting out in the street and soaking in the sunshine and the vitamin D. And I've lived in Puebla, Mexico almost all the time for the past 3 years. It's still like a new city for me though, because I don't have that many friends because I have just been so focused on business and trying to make things work business wise that I've let my personal relationships suffer. And so I need to somehow get past that. And so um, there's no better way to get your house in order than to assign a number. Assign, like, you as a founder, if you're a CEO of a successful company, what is that number per hour that you should be earning? So write it down and have that number in mind. I'm going to put mine at $80 an hour, which is very low, right? But let's say it might be a low number per hour, but it's what maybe sort of an entry level CEO could expect to earn. And that's, I suppose I would consider myself an entry level CEO because I've never really run a big company before. So let's just put it at $80 an hour, and then start to measure that against what I'm doing. If I'm spending 3 hours a day making social posts, then I'm paying somebody $240 a day to make social posts. I should outsource that, which fortunately I do. So I want to talk about I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about the number one phrase that is the business killer that many of us say and we need to stop saying. And so let's get into it. So you're probably wondering, what is that phrase that's the big business killer, so that you don't make the mistake of saying it? I'll bet you're already saying it. I say it all the time to myself. I'm like, not just in my business, but in my personal life. I'm doing some house projects here and I can't find somebody that's appropriate to work on them. So I have to learn how to stucco, and I have to learn how to, lay tile and all these other things because I'm just so tired of mediocrity, or I'm just unable to put in the effort to find somebody appropriate to do the job. So the phrase is, if I want something done right, I have to do it myself. And that is the most toxic phrase for your business, let alone your personal life, but for your business especially, because if you do everything yourself, you're never going to get anywhere. It comes to mind, I used to go to this bar when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Honduras. It was a little disco on the beach. And it was really successful. And this lady really knew how to run a business. But, she was just limited to only ever having that one little disco, because she would not get out of her own way and figure out a way to let somebody manage the income, manage the, just the cash coming in the door. She felt like she had to be there every second the business was open to take the cash and put it in a drawer and make the change for the people that are paying out. So you'd get a bottleneck and bad service because you're waiting to cash out at 2 a.m. and you're having to wait 15 minutes just to pay, because this lady wouldn't trust anybody else to handle cash, or was unwilling or unable to put the financial controls in place so that somebody else could do their work. And so that's an example. But my own personal example is marketing. Like, I am putting the responsibility on myself because it's expensive to hire somebody else, and I have started to outsource some of the details and strategy and stuff like that, but it's hard to let go of, even though it's something I don't want to do. And even then, I still have to do it because I still have to set the direction and put the things in motion to get it working. And so sometimes I just find myself struggling to, like, stereotypical ADHD avoidance. Maybe you recognize it. And so I have to get out of my own way. So if I can pay somebody, even if it's $50 an hour, which is really expensive for like something that I would pay somebody to do, maybe it makes sense. Maybe I need to pay that. And then if I'm spending 3 hours a day managing my inbox, maybe I need to hand that off too, because is it worth $240 a day to manage an inbox? Probably not. So figure out what your number is, and then stop making everything have to be perfect. One hesitation that I have with handing off a task is I don't want everything to be perfect. So, like, let's talk about social posts again. If I have to do the social post for my business, I've already proven it time and time again. It is just not going to get done. I hate it. It's not that I don't have the time. I just won't spend the time. I'll find anything else to do, and I will not spend the time to make social posts for my business. So that had to be handed off. But then now sometimes I think, oh, well, that isn't the way I would have said it, or that message isn't probably the most perfect one for the situation or whatever. But you just have to decide, does everything have to be exactly how you want it? I have a family member too that spends a lot of time kind of micromanaging everything that's done in his business, and it's just a struggle because it just really impedes progress not to let people just do their jobs. So the hallmark of a true executive is to select good people and then let them do their jobs and don't micromanage them. just manage to outcomes. And if they're doing what you hired them to do, and it's at least, 75-80% of the quality that you would consider good enough, in many cases it's higher than that for me, because like, for example, my programmer is such a better programmer than I am. He's so much better at what he does. um, and and I just have no desire to get to that level or to modernize my skills to that level. So great. um, I started the ball rolling, and he picked it up and he's running with it. And my assistant too, she's so much more organized than I am. She's so much more skilled at identifying tasks and getting them done and staying on top of things, that I couldn't ask for better. And I certainly do not bring that kind of organization to the organization. So, and no, that wasn't repetitive. Uh, and so, stop being a bottleneck. Let people do their jobs, and stop needing everything to be perfect. And I think that's just my piece of advice this week for making all of our businesses more successful and sustainable for the future. And so, have a happy July 4th. I'm going to work on some house projects today and go to a barbecue in the evening, and I'm going to feel good about not working for the rest of the day. So have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.